In a kingdom nestled between shimmering mountains and a whispering sea, there lived a princess unlike any other. Her name was Elara, and she was invisible. Now, you might think being invisible sounds like the ultimate superpower. No more awkward small talk at royal balls, right? You could sneak into the royal kitchen for midnight snacks or play the best pranks on the stuffy court ministers. And for a while, it was fun for Elite. She'd tie the shoelaces of grumpy guards together, make pastries float across the dining hall, and listen in on the kingdom's juiciest gossip. But the novelty soon wore off. Imagine never seeing your own reflection, never being able to wear a beautiful gown and have someone admire it, never feeling a warm, reassuring hand on your shoulder. Elara was terribly lonely. She was a ghost in her own castle, a whisper in the halls of her own home. The king and queen were heartbroken. They had summoned every magician, every wise woman, every alchemist from every corner of the known world. They tried everything. Potions that shimmered like captured starlight, ancient chants that made the castle walls tremble, and enchanted mirrors that were supposed to reflect one's true self. But nothing worked. Elara remained as clear as the air. The court physicians declared it was an incurable, unheard-of affliction. So the kingdom learned to live with its invisible princess. They'd leave doors slightly ajar, speak to empty chairs where they presumed she was sitting, and set a place for her at the dinner table, a poignant, empty space filled with hope. Elara spent her days wandering the castle gardens. Her only companions, the birds and the butterflies, who, unlike people, seemed to know exactly where she was. She learned their songs and understood the gentle dance of the wind through the leaves. She felt a connection to the world that was deeper than sight. She could feel the vibrations of a footstep through the earth, smell a rainstorm hours before it arrived, and hear the faintest heartbeat of a frightened rabbit. She was more attuned to the world than anyone, yet completely separate from it. One sunny afternoon, while sitting by the grand fountain, she overheard two servants talking about the Whispering Woods, a mysterious forest on the edge of the kingdom, where it was said the very trees held ancient magic. They spoke of a legend, a story about a hidden spring whose waters could reveal what is unseen. A spark of hope, something Elara hadn't felt in years, ignited within her. This was her chance. She couldn't ask for permission. Who would they even say no to? That night, she decided she would venture out on her own, packing a small, invisible bag with bread and cheese she'd swiped from the kitchen. Elara slipped out of the castle under the cloak of darkness. The journey was more challenging than she'd imagined. The world outside the castle walls was loud, chaotic, and a little scary, but her unique senses, once a reminder of her loneliness, now became her greatest assets. She navigated by the feel of the moss on the north side of trees and followed the scent of pine and damp earth that signaled she was getting closer to the Whispering Woods. The forest lived up to its name. The leaves seemed to murmur secrets to each other, the branches creaked and groaned like old men, and strange, glowing fungi lit her path. It wasn't frightening, though. It felt welcoming. It felt like a place that understood secrets and unseen things. It felt like a place she belonged. Deep within the woods, after 3 days of walking, she found it. It wasn't a grand, sparkling fountain, but a small, quiet pool, its water so clear it was almost invisible itself, nestled in a circle of ancient moss-covered stones. The air hummed with a gentle energy. This had to be the spring of revelation. Her heart pounded in her chest. This was the moment. Would it work? What if it didn't? What if she was doomed to be a ghost forever? Taking a deep breath, she knelt by the water's edge. She hesitated, looking down at where her hands should be. With a tremor of fear and hope, she cupped her invisible hands and scooped up the cool, clear water. She brought it to her lips and drank. Nothing happened. For a heartbreaking moment, absolutely nothing. Despair washed over her. It was just another failed attempt, another false hope. Tears she couldn't see began to well in her eyes. But then, as a single invisible tear fell and plopped into the pool, the water began to ripple. The surface of the spring shimmered, not with her reflection, but with images. She saw a young baker in the village, giving a loaf of bread to a hungry family, even though his own flour was running low. She saw a grumpy-looking guard, the same one whose shoelaces she used to tie, gently mending a bird's broken wing. She saw her mother, the queen, secretly leaving a book of poetry on a chambermaid's pillow, knowing the girl loved to read. She saw countless small unseen acts of kindness, courage, and love happening all across her kingdom. Acts that, just like her, were invisible to most. But they were real, they mattered. They were the threads that held the kingdom together. And as she watched, a strange warmth spread through her. It started in her chest and radiated outwards to her arms, her legs, her face. Slowly, tentatively, she looked down at her hands in the water, and she saw them. Faintly at first, like a drawing in mist, but they were there. She wiggled her fingers, mesmerized. A soft outline of her arms appeared, then her feet, her legs. She scrambled back from the spring and looked at her reflection. A girl with wide, curious eyes and hair the color of spun gold stared back at her. It was her. She was real. She let out a laugh, a real, audible laugh that echoed through the quiet woods. But as she looked at her no visible hands, she understood the spring's magic wasn't about making the unseen visible. It was about seeing the value in what was unseen. Her invisibility hadn't been a curse, it had been a gift. It had taught her to see the world not with her eyes, but with her heart. It had shown her the truth that the most important things in life, kindness, courage, love, are often invisible. Talara returned to the castle, not as a spectacle, but as a princess with a newfound wisdom. The celebration was immense. Of course, there were feasts and festivals, and the king and queen couldn't stop hugging her. But Elara was changed. She no longer craved the spotlight. Instead, she sought out the quiet corners of her kingdom. She spent time with the stable hands, listened to the stories of the laundry women, and played with the children in the village square. She started a royal initiative, not for grand monuments, but for small acts of kindness. A fund for the baker so he'd never run out of flour. A sanctuary for injured animals tended to by the city guards. A royal library open to everyone, filled with poetry and tales of adventure. She used her position to shine a light on the invisible good deeds she now saw everywhere. Her story became a legend, but not just the tale of the invisible princess who became visible. It was the story of a princess who taught her kingdom that everyone has value, whether they are seen or not. She taught them to look beyond appearances and to see the magic in the everyday, the importance in the unnoticed. She ruled for many years, not as a monarch who was merely looked at, but as a leader who truly saw her people. And she reminded everyone that the most powerful magic in the world isn't about being seen, but about seeing others. The greatest strength isn't in what people notice about you, but in the quiet, unseen impact you have on the world around you. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey today. If this story resonated with you, do not forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more tales that explore the magic hidden just beneath the surface of our world. What unseen acts of kindness have you witnessed lately? Share them in the comments below. Let's celebrate the invisible good in the world together. Until next time, keep your heart open and your eyes ready to see the unseen. Bye for now.